What are you doing that nobody else is doing? That's the question, right? Yeah.
And then it should be bold enough that it can help to galvanize your staff plus the market, right? To get some conversation started.
Yeah, because it's got to do two simple things. It's got to increase the willingness for people to work for your company, and it's got to increase the willingness of people to buy from your company. That's all it's doing.
And what's interesting is that, I think when people think of brand purpose and movement thinking, they think of Patagonia. They don't think of the adaptive enterprise, right? And that adaptive enterprise, that is still a movement, right? Now, trying to find the movement that talks to your organization, that seems to be really, really quite challenging, right? Because you've got to pick something which you care about. Then you have to pick something which is a real challenge, like a challenge like in the world, like in the industry or whatever. And then you have to create them like the frameworks internally and the message externally to communicate it. And then you have to keep investing in it for a long enough time. Is that right? Like in a kind of like nutshell? I'm still trying to just confirm that I get it, right? So if it's wrong,
I think that's right. That's right. It's right. I mean, it can evolve over time. Like, for example, we did a purpose for Pampers, the diaper.
Yep.
Before we worked with them, basically they were the best engineered poop catcher. And we created a purpose called baby development. And baby development changed the game for Pampers because it gave them a really relevant idea that they could define their reason for being, but also create new types of products, new types of services that parents need. And that could include also communities of parents, tools that parents could use to become better parents. And, as a result, they transformed their business. They were behind the market leader here in the US called Huggies. They ended up usurping them. We ended up launching in China. We did, Eastern Europe and Western Europe. And so that simple idea of baby development, it's completely relevant to Pampers, of course. And, during that program, the movement, we launched a product that was 2 times thinner, that's classic P&G, 2 times thinner, 2 times drier. It's called, the new diaper was a feat of engineering, really quite extraordinary. But what we did was we positioned it as a performance enhancing diaper, like your Australians are so good at the Olympic swimming. So like they wear that sleek glide enhancing textile. That's like what happens when you wear Pampers with DryMax, this new product that we launched. And we connected it back to baby development, which was the fact that it's thinner allows the baby to move freely, and that stimulates the brain, which is part of baby development. So everything we do is in the service of driving a better form of baby development. And it just helped the company focus and grow globally. And that's kind of it. Like it's that, and then activating it. We did, for example, with Pampers, I went to the leadership and I said, you advertise to mothers after they've given birth, because P&G as a company never spends $1 advertising to non-customers. So by virtue, a non-customer is a prenatal mom. However, prenatal moms are truth seekers. The minute parents find out they're pregnant, they're scouring the internet for anything they can get their hands on, which is when you want to be out there. So we came up with a strategy called Capture at Conception, which was all about building tools and utilities out there that once you become pregnant, you can actually find Pampers. And we build a relationship, because if you start building the relationship 9 months out, they're going to stick with you longer. And one of the biggest business problems that Pampers had at the time was parents, they start off using Pampers because it's insecure. And then after about a year, they go, I'm actually pretty good at this. I don't need Pampers anymore. And they switch to a cheaper diaper. You can use the cheaper diaper from the beginning, but Pampers has created this mindset that if you don't buy Pampers, you're a terrible parent. So nobody dares until they build enough courage after a year and realize that Pampers actually is great, but there are other great ones out there too. So we were able, through capturing conception, to actually lengthen the time that parents use the product.
So you mentioned before that the cost of something like this isn't like it can be similar to any kind of campaign that you launch, which means that it's really the thinking, it's the messaging, it's kind of like how you talk about the brand now, it's how you integrate it into what you're already doing. So it doesn't it seems in hearing this conversation that this is a very expensive process, right? But from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't have to be. It can be, of course, but it doesn't have to be. It can just be kind of how you change how you talk about yourself and how you change kind of the messages that you put out to the marketplace. Is that correct?
Well, it's not just how you put it out in the marketplace. It's your actions that are driving some form of positive change. It would be like, I was looking at something from Australia. There's a guy I know, his name is Brent. He's the CMO of a company in Australia, a big insurance company. And he came out with a program called NRMA Insurance.
Yeah, NRMA Insurance, yep.
Yeah, I think he's the CMO of that company. And he did this movement, and it was all about, it's called a fire inside. There's a fire inside all of us, a burning desire to help. And it was an amazing program, a significant project, including a feature-length documentary and book, to create a national movement in partnership with the Minderoo Foundation to mobilize Australia's largest contingency of volunteers to prepare and protect Australia from future natural disasters. That's a really great example of a movement. Like, here's an insurance company that, is saying, look, there's fires coming every year. It's not going away. We're going to need a new way of thinking. We want to drive that conversation in society. And we're going to bring lots of people together who otherwise wouldn't be connected, but have a personal stake in seeing this succeed. And that's basically, and by doing so, by virtue of being the ones crystallizing this movement, that organization, the NRMA Insurance Group, are going to be generating a lot of fans and a lot of positive feedback from their employees. They're going to walk taller. Their families are going to love them more. The CEO's children is going to know and appreciate what their father or mother is doing, because most children of CEOs don't know what their parents do. All the positive things in life. That's great.